The Sisters and the Deceptive Lover. In the quiet town of Ndemu, there lived two sisters, Sophia and Linda. From childhood, they were inseparable, bound by blood, trust, and laughter. Sophia was the gentler one, soft-spoken and caring, always by her mother's side helping in the family shop. Linda, on the other hand, was lively and adventurous, a free spirit who loved music, social gatherings, and laughter. Though their personalities were different, their bond was unshakable. They shared secrets, clothes, and dreams of their future husbands. To everyone in Ndemu, they were the perfect example of sisterhood. But fate has a way of testing even the strongest bonds. One Sunday afternoon, at a youth service in Ndemu church, Sophia met a man named Michael. He was tall, well-dressed, and spoke with confidence that drew everyone's attention. He claimed to be a businessman dealing in hardware across different towns. His smile was charming, his words sweet. Sophia, shy but curious, found herself listening closely, and before long, Michael began to pursue her. He called her constantly, showered her with compliments, and spoke of marriage. Sophia, who had never been pursued with such passion, began to fall for him. Meanwhile, miles away in Makwale, Linda attended a birthday party for a friend. And there, under the glow of lanterns and the sound of music, she too met Michael. This time he introduced himself as a man who owned transport lorries, carrying goods across counties. He spoke of his wealth, his ambitions, and his admiration for her beauty. Linda, flattered and caught up in the moment, welcomed his attention. Soon she too was swept into his web. Neither sister knew they were dating the same man. Michael was a smooth liar, carefully balancing his stories, dividing his time, and telling each sister what she wanted to hear. To Sophia, he was a hard-working businessman. To Linda, a wealthy transporter. To both, he was the dream they thought they'd been waiting for. Months passed. Then Sophia made an announcement that shook the family. Michael had asked for her hand in marriage, and the introduction ceremony would be held at their home in Ndemu. The family rejoiced. Their daughter was about to be honored, and preparations began immediately. Linda was especially excited. Finally, she would meet the man who had captured her sister's heart. The day of the ceremony came. The compound was alive with music and chatter. Relatives from nearby towns filled the yard. Then, as the bridegroom walked in with his entourage, a wave of shock swept across the gathering. Linda froze, her eyes wide with disbelief. There, standing boldly, was Michael, the very same man she had been seeing in secret. The atmosphere grew tense. Sophia's smile faded as she saw her sister's horrified face. Linda stood, trembling with anger and pain, and shouted the truth. Michael had been courting them both. Gasps filled the air. Their father, furious, demanded Michael leave immediately. Relatives muttered in shame. The truth was out. The charming man was nothing but a deceiver. Linda, heartbroken, chose her family and walked away. But Sophia, blinded by her emotions, refused to believe. She defended Michael, accusing her sister of jealousy. Tears streaming down her face, she stormed out with him, turning her back on her parents, her family, and the sister who had always stood by her. Days later, in Kaval Town Hall, Sophia and Michael were quietly married. Against all warnings, she became his wife. At first, life seemed sweet. Michael took her to fancy restaurants like Hovela Hotel, bought her clothes, and whispered promises of a bright future. For a while, Sophia believed she had made the right choice. But the mask soon began to slip. Michael would disappear for days, returning late at night with alcohol on his breath. Strange phone calls would wake him at odd hours. Rumors began to swirl. Whispers that Michael already had a wife and children in Rongera village, far away. When Sophia confronted him, his sweet words turned into fists. He beat her mercilessly and warned her never to question him again. Her dream had turned into a nightmare. One night, after a heated quarrel, Michael prepared tea for her. He handed it to her with an icy smile. Moments after drinking, Sophia collapsed, her body shaking, her breath failing. Michael stood over her coldly, then walked away, leaving her to die. But fate was not finished with her yet. Their neighbor, Mama Tula, heard faint cries and rushed in. She found Sophia on the floor, barely alive, and quickly called for help. Sophia was rushed to Magwale District Hospital, where doctors confirmed the truth. She had been poisoned. Days later, Sophia opened her eyes in the hospital bed, weak, bruised, but alive. Regret flooded her heart like a storm. She remembered her family's warnings, her sister's tears, and the moment she chose a man over her blood. With trembling lips, she told the police everything. Investigations revealed the full truth. Michael indeed had a wife and children in Rongera, and countless women scattered across different towns. He had fooled many, but now his lies had caught up with him. Michael was arrested in Cavale Market, dragged through the streets in shame. The man who once walked proudly with false confidence was now reduced to nothing but a criminal in handcuffs. Sophia, recovering slowly, returned to her family home in Ndemu. At first, her parents could not hide their anger and disappointment. But Linda, her sister, stepped forward with tears in her eyes. She embraced Sophia tightly, whispering, "You are still my sister." We lost time, but not love. In that moment, the walls of bitterness crumbled. The family forgave, and the two sisters rebuilt the bond they almost lost forever. Sophia, though scarred, emerged stronger. She often sat by the window, watching the sun set over Ndemu, reflecting on her choices. And one day, she said softly, almost as if speaking to her younger self, "Love should never blind us to the truth. Family sees what love refuses to see. Charm can deceive, wealth can tempt, but true love is not found in sweet words or flashy gifts. It is found in loyalty, honesty, and respect. When family warns you, listen, for blood often sees what the heart cannot."